Stumpers, welcome to another episode of Hyper Heroes here on Hyper Rabbit Power Go. It's a little bit of a slow week.
It is. I'm trying to conjure news.
I know, so just conjure something.
Happened.
It is Thursday, not
It is Thursday.
Fricka's Day. We're not
That's
waiting
right.
until Freyja's Day.
We're shooting a little
Did you
early
guys
this
see
week.
the sad Thor video that came out? He's playing Johnny Cash songs.
Yeah.
I love that. So
Yeah,
that song
yeah.
is from the Logan trailer, which I love.
Oh, that's
It's also
right, huh?
it's also a Johnny Cash song.
Yeah.
No, that's what I
It's
mean.
a cover of Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Was it Nine Inch Nails that did that version of the Logan
Yeah.
trailer? I thought it was the Johnny
No,
Cash
it was the
original.
Johnny Cash
Okay.
version, but
Gotcha,
that's a
gotcha.
cover of Nine Inch Nails. That's not an original Johnny Cash.
Oh, yeah.
And the NIN, nobody calls it that. Nine Inch
Nobody-
Nails
nobody calls it
version
that, yeah.
is first.
This
I
is
don't
the
know.
inexperienced music.
Yeah, that's how
detector.
it's how you read it.
Nin? Just
I'm going
nin?
back to
It's
high
nin?
school. Nin.
Nin.
Yeah.
Like Eminem.
But that was really fun.
But it is Thursday. Sad
It is
Thursday.
Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I'm excited. I have a fun weekend planned. You're not going to be
that's
here. But
right.
you have also a fun weekend planned.
I am going to Orlando.
Florida.
yeah.
Florida.
Heck yeah.
I'm going to be
Nice.
hitting up that Universal Studios.
Ooh, all right.
Really wish I could do Disney, but Disney's got to do something about them prices.
Oh, they ain't going to do shit about
Disney's
them prices.
really got to do something about them prices. Did you hear they also just announced Marvel Land? They're going to
I mean,
knock down a Bugs World.
That's
Cool.
been in the
Bug's
works
Life?
for quite a while.
Yeah,
That's
that's-
been,
yeah. Still.
but you know, they have a new SoCal pass, which I think it's like $50 a month, and you can like reserve days. So I'm like, all right, I think I might get that. That if I can do it enough times throughout the year to make
Yes.
that pass
To make it
worth
worth
it,
it.
then,
Yeah,
you know,
then it's cool.
If I don't have to pay, you know, whatever $2,000, whatever it is for that platinum
Yeah.
pass.
So that platinum pass is close to 1,000. Either
No, it's
at or
more.
close. It's more than
I think
1,000
it's
now.
like $1,500.
But that's
so it's
the
1,500,
pass of
1,800.
you can go any day, including the
Yeah.
weekends.
That's for
you
rich
get
people.
parking.
Yeah.
20% off. I think it's good for Disney World as well, but I could be wrong.
I think they do go to all the parks, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay that.
No,
I love
no,
Disney, but I'm not going to
not
pay
that
that.
much. I love them, but not enough.
But who knows? Maybe depending on how this Marvel Land turns out.
I still haven't seen Galaxy's Edge. I really.
I
wanna
still
check
haven't
Galaxy's
seen it
Edge.
either.
Neither
Yeah.
have I.
Yeah, we should have a boys' day.
My weekend's going to be cool, too, guys. I'm going to stay home and watch the 3 Toy Story movies. Get ready for the new one.
Did you just? Oh no, you have them in 3D, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't
I've been
watched
hearing
them in
good
3D.
things about the number 4.
I know. I want to get stoked about it. I'm getting stoked about it.
I missed the first screening, and then I got an
Yeah.
invite to another screening,
Yeah,
and
me too.
it's on Tuesday when Emily can't go, so I don't know if I'm gonna go. I think we might just wait till
I'll go.
next week.
Tuesday at 7 at El Cap. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can't.
I can make
that
it.
day.
I signed up.
I can make it.
Hopefully, I'll go. We'll see.
Maybe you'll see me there.
We'll see.
Hey,
Maybe.
You guys will make it.
Yeah.
You guys will make it.
hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
way, I'm paying for Toy Story 4 to go
That's
see.
right.
Obviously, I love Toy Story. That's huge.
And I think it's refreshing to hear that so many people have walked away. They're like, "Look, I know a lot of people, we and us included, have said, do we need a fourth
Sure,
movie? Is
sure.
it necessary? Da, 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 all that stuff." But everyone's walking out saying like,
It's great.
just as heartfelt, it's just as
great,
great,
yeah.
as you would hope."
I
So
don't doubt
that's
it.
People
really
are saying that
reassuring.
Forky steals the show, dude.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're
Nice.
saying that Forky's the driving
That's cool.
force of this
They didn't
one,
rush
so.
it, man. It's been 9 years since Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't rush it, so
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Right.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of hope that this will kind of be the end of the Toy Story franchise.
No, I think they're going to go 4, 5, 6.
You think so? They're going to
Yeah.
do
Oh,
another
yeah.
trilogy?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we thought 3 was the end.
That's
There we
true.
go.
But Bonnie was a lovely new child character, and
Yeah.
then they basically extended the play life of these
Sure.
characters. So it's like they could have gone into a new trilogy
Yeah.
with Bonnie as the kid, you know?
And look, I love the brand new toys where you say like, "Someone's coming," and they like drop and fall. That to me is awesome.
The real life toy.
yeah,
You
the
see
real
that?
toys.
No.
You haven't
Dude,
seen that?
No, they
It's a
actually
real
have
toy.
toys that do that.
Yes.
That's pretty
They
awesome.
go, "Oh no, Duck!" What does Woody
It's
say?
like, I think it's like someone's coming, and then it's like positions.
Positions.
And then
that's
they
what it
like
is.
they
just
fall.
fall.
They just flop
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
That's
It's pretty
amazing.
cool.
It's crazy.
Oh, well then maybe I might get some.
Zach and I also were the poor souls who went to watch Dark Phoenix. We did a review of it.
I saw
You
it.
guys still have not gone down that rabbit hole.
That's not.
Should
I
we go
don't-
see it?
I think it would be really fun to talk about what the movie was and what the movie could have been.
Here's the
because
question.
now a bunch of stuff is coming out.
Here's the question: do you think it would be? What's the optimal way to watch that movie? Just go to the theater and see it, or to go back and rewatch some of the older X-Men movies, at least First Class? Do you know what I'm saying? Like to swim in it for a little bit and then go see it.
From what I gathered from Adam's review, it doesn't necessarily follow the continuity. There's
it jumps
lots
around a
of
little bit.
things that don't like at the end of what the apocalypse she had
Yeah.
Phoenix powers.
Yeah.
and
I said in the
something
review,
happens.
I don't even really remember Apocalypse, and
Right.
I don't feel like by missing that movie or by not remembering that movie or by not revisiting, I don't feel like I
You're
missed
missing
anything.
All right.
Yeah.
You know, because we've
Yeah.
spent so much time with these characters, whether they were in older iteration or
Right.
different actors. So I'm like, I know the gist of these characters.
Right,
I don't
right.
need to be reminded of the origin story of some of these
And
characters.
there was some confusion with the villain, and there was
They were supposed to be Skrulls. They were supposed to be Skrulls. And the third act was supposed to be somewhat similar to other movies.
Civil War.
Yeah.
All right.
A two-parter, yeah. So
guys. I still haven't seen Shazam yet, so
I know.
I'm definitely not gonna go watch this hot garbage.
my God. My God.
It's about to
know.
come out on Blu-ray.
I know. I'm waiting for it.
Cool,
actually.
man. You can
Yeah.
just come over and you can watch it
I
here.
know. I'm actually just gonna buy it.
Cool.
That
I'll
works
actually
too.
just
That
buy
works
that
too.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually what most recently. Oh, we did John Wick. We did John Wick for Patreon. If you're on Patreon, you can check out our John Wick commentary. There's some new Blu-rays coming out. Captain Marvel's coming out. Batman vs. TMNT just came out. The 4Ks of Batman came out. I'm like slowly going through and like trying to get through the special features on a lot of
Pause
these.
everything. Augie,
Batman vs.
go
TMNT.
get Batman versus Teenage
It's
Mutant Ninja.
good.
Okay.
That will be
really
one of your
good.
favorite movies of the year.
Okay. I'll
Go
get
get,
It's
go,
really good,
go,
man.
go
I will
blind
go
buy that.
buy it.
Go blind buy it or rent it or whatever.
No, I'm
however
gonna
you
go
wanna
buy it. I'll go to
digitally-
Target tomorrow and I'll go
Okay.
buy the hard copy.
Good man. Good man. Good man.
Like, no spoilers, obviously, but just to see all those characters interacting and how they brought the characters in, I was like, this is so cool.
Does it follow the comic run? Do you guys, either of you guys know?
You would know.
Kind of? No? Okay, because I do want to buy the comic run as well.
Some stuff
Yeah.
they enhanced it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I dug it. It was
it
cool.
might be the second best Turtles movie ever. After the original.
I
Like,
just saw
for
the
real.
original last
For
night
real.
too.
Okay.
So
Oh, you
All
watch
right.
it again?
I'm fresh off the boat on that one. Yeah.
So good. Also, it's Captain America's birthday. Happy birthday, Chris Evans.
Oh, that's right.
Happy 30th birthday.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Crispy Evans. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to people in the community. It's my birthday tomorrow, or as you're watching this, it's probably
Pass
today.
those around so we can display them all at once.
Some amazing people in the community got me a whole bunch of 4K Blu-rays. A lot of these, as you'll notice, are restorations. And, you know, we've talked about restorations and 4Ks quite a bit. I think in like
I'm full here.
last episode or the second to last episode, I talked about how, look, if you're going to bring in 4K Blu-rays.
Adam. Hi, Adam. The town was the reason I was excited when I first heard about the announcement of Batfleck.
that's
Best
right.
regards, Philip Dreher.
Who's a patron. These come from Eridance, Jeremy Barr, Samir, Philip. I'm
Special gift
super
for you.
excited. I'm super
Hey,
excited to watch all
Adam.
these.
Happy birthday from Stephen Kane.
Boom.
/ Aradin SC. Aradin C.
Aradency.
Good job,
Aradin
Spencer.
C.
I already
Well,
watched.
you know.
I already watched Halloween.
Uh-huh.
Zach and I really want to watch Black Hawk Down because apparently that restoration is super good.
Cool. These
So
are
I'm very,
dope,
very excited.
dude.
Yeah, man.
E.T.,
Dude,
yeah.
you guys gotta come over. For
Physical
movie night
media
one
is
day.
cool.
And
All
Black
right.
Hawk Down is, yeah, like that's the one I'm just like, oh, I need to watch.
You're
this
dying
so
for?
bad. I'm
Okay.
dying
Okay.
for it. I'm dying for it. I'm dying for it.
Okay.
But everyone who's been listening on the podcast, thank you so much. Jump over to the YouTube channel if you have not yet, or vice versa. We're on every single streaming platform or podcast platform you can imagine. So you should go check it out because, you know, podcasts are great. We have so many people who tell us that they love the podcast, but I still don't see a lot of reviews on the podcast. I'm like,
Get on it.
please leave a review.
Rate,
Please.
review, comment. All that stuff really, really actually
It's
helps.
so helpful because
Go-
that way we're in Spotify. We're not number 575.
Let's
in
get
the
us up into the
podcast.
top 100. Let's get up there,
Let's
guys.
do it,
Let's get up there. Let's see us rise
to the top.
to the
To
top.
the tap.
I also just did or I didn't just shoot it. I shot it a while ago, but a Schmodown match with Eric Zipper. You can check that out as well if you're a fan of the Schmodown.
Cool.
Right.
You did one not that long ago too, right?
I think so.
It was like a month ago.
I don't. Yes, I think that's searchable. I think it's already out, and
It's
but
been
I don't
out,
want to
yeah.
spoil the.
No,
it's
no,
been
no.
out.
Don't
Yeah,
spoil.
yeah.
Don't
Okay.
spoil. Don't spoil. I'm not gonna.
Did
spoil
the
mine.
Lord of the Rings information come in handy?
To
watch
you.
You should just watch it.
There was one good one that for me.
Nice.
There was one good
Nice.
one.
All right,
Nice.
good,
I
good.
nailed one
Nice.
that you would be proud of.
I'm willing to watch it all.
It's a tough category for me.
Yeah.
Every time I hear a question from that, I'm like, that was
fall-
never
you fall
said
asleep?
aloud in the films.
You fall
and then they're
asleep?
like, no, it was.
You're just
There,
like,
there's a
all
couple
right.
of questions that that were asked,
Yeah.
and I looked through the comments somebody was like, I don't think this was ever mentioned in the movie, and somebody responded like 4 comments later. Actually, it was in one of the monologues in the opening of a movie. I'm like, oh god,
gotta have those
okay.
closed captionings on, and you got to be reading along with the books.
I know, like just get all 5,000 pages of the script.
Sword of Arendelle Flanenel. Okay, cool. Is it given to Rivendell in a Flanenel? Go. Okay, got it. Check.
Oh man,
That's right on the money. Hector.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds about right. Let's talk a little bit about DC. So we talked about last week how Swamp Thing was canceled. Very heartbreaking. Episode 3 is going to be airing, or it's now on DC Universe. So if you have not watched it
and
yet,
that was confirmed
you should.
again from like North Carolina. No official word from Warner Brothers, DC, any production company that was doing the show.
Exactly. So there's been a lot of questions the last few days. The why, the what, are they going to release the other 6 or 7 episodes that they have? Because there's a total of 10.
Sure.
So on the DC Universe app, they have a community manager who goes by the name Applejacks. This is someone that we know, Jackie Cole.
Oh, for
she
sure.
worked at
Oh, she's
Jackie.
the community manager
she's
now?
the community manager at DC
Jackie's
Universe.
awesome.
Wow.
Jackie's awesome.
Yeah.
So I got to see her again when I went to that DC event with you.
Yeah, she's
where you
great.
guys did the whole presentation and stuff.
Right.
So she posted on behalf of DC Universe sort of the updates and the details about Swamp Thing. She says
what she could.
what she could,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
She says, "Hi, friends. A million thanks for your patience. We understand that this has not been an easy time for you as fans, and I will do my best to provide you with a satisfying answer. First, some updates. The full 10-episode season of Swamp Thing will continue to air on DC Universe with new episodes released weekly. There are no current plans for a season 2. So that confirms that as of right now, no season 2, but the first season will drop on DC Universe in its entirety.
I will say this too. A lot of people have been talking online about, hey, you know what other show hasn't been like renewed yet? Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Titans got a season 2, and that's been announced, and they
that's
were
gonna
filming
start
it, and
shooting,
that's
or I think
happening.
it already
has or has been or whatever. But still no like update on Doom Patrol. So a lot of people are like, how come? I love the show. It would be great if that got a renewal. And just because throughout its entire run of dropping episodes once a week, there was no official word of season 2.
Right.
But because there wasn't an official word that it was canceled,
Yes.
nobody's
assuming.
Nobody was treating it the way that fans are treating Swamp Thing, where they're like, well, why am I even going to watch Doom Patrol? Like, it's just sort of business as usual.
Yeah.
So even if, and now I'm glad that we do have this sort of confirmation from DC Universe.
Better than nothing.
That even though that is the case, that there are no current plans for a season 2, I'm like, that is right now the same as far as we know. For Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
So sure, it's just
fine.
going to be business as usual. They're going to put this show on the service.
Yeah,
Put it
well,
on DC.
that's how shows run. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys have noticed on Twitch. I'm seeing all the Twitch stuff right here. On Twitter, but there are actors. Randall Park was one of them when they didn't know if Fresh Off the Boat was going to get picked
Right.
up. They had this huge campaign with all the actors saying, fans, please let it be known that you want another season of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're still I feel like they're still kind of acting like an old school television studio in which like, well, let's check out how this one season does. We'll run the numbers and we'll see if we pick up on season 2, which we probably won't know until the actors know.
Yes,
So
exactly. Another thing that she mentioned was, we appreciate there are questions as to why, but unfortunately, we're not in a position to answer at this time.
That's a very diplomatic answer.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's still a bummer, and I'm sure that Jackie, the community manager, as she was typing this, was like, "This is a bummer. Like that we are not in a position to answer at this time. That is the standard. You know, it's a bummer, but sure."
Yeah,
Right.
I think for me, more importantly, like, I was unsure whether or not we were going to get the remaining episodes.
Oh,
like
I always knew that was going to happen.
Like, I didn't know if,
like
let's
that,
say, we were going to get to like episode 6, and it's like, unfortunately, we were unable to complete. You know, this is sort of like, you know, it's like, oh man, I hope we get all 10. And the fact that we are getting them, and it's 100% confirmed, yes, we're going to get the entire season in its entirety. That makes me happy because I've really enjoyed the show so far. I loved episode 1. I loved episode 2.
Yeah.
It's my favorite DC Universe original series right now.
Yeah, same.
I'm excited to watch the new episode tonight or tomorrow morning or whenever
yeah.
I feel like watching it. So
Yeah, it's become appointment television for me, and
It-
it's not just
yeah.
because I'm watching it to be able
Work
to talk
reasons,
about for
sure.
work reasons, but like I'm watching with Abby, she's really into it.
yeah, it's really good,
Nice.
man.
You know,
It's
like
really
okay.
good.
I'm
Okay.
like, cool. I'm like, instead of me going like, hey, do you want to watch Doom Patrol? And she wasn't into it, so I'm watching it on my own.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, do you want to watch Swamp Thing? She's like, I'll give the first episode a shot. And then
Sure.
she's like, cool, I'm in. And then we did episode, and she's in.
nice.
So
Yeah.
we're just
Okay.
gonna
All
keep
right.
happening.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
agree.
That's how you want it to work.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's actually like we're in a really good week right now with superhero television because a lot of stuff from CW and all the other networks
Just
sort
like
of
dropped
ended.
on Netflix.
Yeah, like they ended or they dropped on Netflix,
Yeah.
and now the new season of Krypton started on Wednesday on Syfy. We've got Jessica Jones, season 3 dropping tonight at midnight, or officially on
and
14th.
I've heard nobody talk about it.
I know it's kind of a bummer, and I feel kind of bad too because I'm not caught up on.
Is that the fans or is that the sort of marketing? Do you know what I mean? Because
I've seen zero marketing from Netflix.
I've seen
exactly
a couple trailers. One came out at the beginning of this week, or I think last week it came out, and then I think there was a trailer a few months back. But I think
as opposed to and you hate to. It's like us as consumers. I feel like every once in a while I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Netflix will hype up a thing, a movie, a show, and I'm like, where's this coming from?
Yeah, exactly.
So much hype for that.
It's just a shadow of itself. You guys remember how dope it was when those things were coming out, when we were watching Daredevil and Jessica Jones with the colors coming in and just like all this stuff happening.
Yeah.
And now it's radio silence.
Now
it's like, hey guys, drop in, gonna be canceled immediately.
Yeah,
so don't even worry about
the trailers are very like generic TV movie trailers. Whereas like before, like you're saying, they had like a style and there was a lot of artistry behind it. But now it's just sort of like, well, we know this is the end, so here's just a trailer because we're obligated to put a trailer out to let people know it's coming out. But we're not really going to do any sort of like pushes for it.
Bare minimum.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks.
I want to get caught up though. I want to get caught up in Jessica Jones, and I want to watch this final season and sort of see how if they put any effort into tying up just this Netflix Marvel world with the final episodes or 1 or 2 episodes of Jessica Jones, or if it's just Jessica Jones' self-contained story. We're not worrying about any of the other characters or the universe at large. It's just completing her arc, and I'm sure she's going to ride off into the sunset, so to speak. I don't think they're necessarily going to kill these characters.
That sounds more like I think the route, because I saw season 2, and it's a very Jessica-centric story, not a lot to do with anybody else, really.
Correct. Yeah.
And so there's some strings that they need to tie up here, but I don't see this doing anything for the Netflix Marvel universe as a whole.
Right. I don't think they refilmed a bunch of stuff like, let's go get Iron Fist, let's go get Daredevil.
They're not doing that.
No. Some other stuff that Jackie posted, and now the good news: DC Universe continues to develop new shows, new seasons, new stories, more availability, and more platforms. We've got a lot of exciting plans for our other shows in the works, and look forward to sharing more in the coming months. That's all the information I have to share at this time. Now that you have the goods, we'll be going back through the threads, removing the false rumors and speculations that this choice means DC Universe or any of our original series were affected.
Great.
Feel free to ask questions in the comments below, and I will answer to the best of my ability.
Heart emoji.
Applejacks.
A.K.A. Jackie Cole, community manager,
Cole.
DC Universe.
Yeah.
It's a tough job, man.
Thank you. We spent like an hour last week talking about how this needs to happen.
Yeah.
Even this is something. Even this is, and you can cynically look at it and be like, well, it doesn't mean anything. It could just be PR. They could be lying. They could, and it's like, look, I get that, but it reminds me of when I worked in a certain work environment and like something went down at a job and I went and talked to the boss. I'm like, look, even if this was out of your control, you could have lied to your employees and been like, hey, we're working on it. We hear you guys. I'm like, even that to me is good leadership.
Yeah.
Even the lying to appease the rabble of like, hey, what's going on? It's just okay, I hear you guys. We totally hear you. We're working on it. And then they turn around and they go, no, we can't work on it. It's out of our hands. Like, even this part I appreciate. And because otherwise, if you send out that, hey, what's going on? And it's just crickets. It's like, no. It's like, don't do
Turning
that.
a blind eye.
That's the
exactly.
worst.
We need
that
some
is the
news.
Worst.
We need some news.
Well.
Hi,
Look who
Zach.
woke up from his grave.
Ooh. Look what the
Look at the
kaiju
dog
dragged
in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's good that they are trying to the best of their ability
Community manage.
And I think it is really complicated. And I think DC and their community management team, I think they're very sort of aware as to a lot of the internet narrative around their brand. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not as positive. But I think, and honestly, even based on my experience of being in this community forum, it is unlike anything I've seen on social media.
Yes.
Twitter is a dumpster fire.
Yes. YouTube, as we know, is garbage.
Yeah. The DC Universe community who is actually paying money to be a part of this service, to be a part of this community.
They love the shows. They love the community.
They love the shows. They're very friendly
people.
people.
They've been polled constantly, and they always say, my favorite thing is the community, the message boards. I log in and I check it every day. Oh, what shows do you watch? I watch some stuff, but I log in and I check, because that's what it's about, the community building.
Engagement,
And I love that. And I've gone in there and I've answered and responded to people, and it's it's so refreshing to go into a place where it's like, cool, these are the DC fans that I love. I want to engage with. You know, and I get it that not everyone who is of a similar mindset can necessarily afford the service. So it's nice to be able to find those pockets of people on the internet too. But it's nice to just be able to go DCUniverse.com. And there they are. And they're just there.
And it's a nice corner of the internet.
Yes. So, you know.
I also like that thing of now that we've done that, we're going to go in and we're going to delete some threads, removing false rumors and stuff. I'm like, cool.
That's
It'd be cool if other websites did that. That would be really, really cool. That'd be really cool.
Not calling anybody out or anything, but yeah, totally.
But YouTube.
But everybody else. But everybody else.
Yes. But everybody else.
Everybody else.
Because having to go in and do that manually,
no bueno.
It's not fun.
No bueno.
Also, another thing that came out this week was the first trailer, or I guess it's not the first trailer. It's an official trailer for Pennyworth.
Well, there's been
a few teasers and character vignettes that have come out before.
So this is the first official.
Some of them have only been like 30 seconds. So I thought, why am I gonna corral the group to come over for a 30-second video?
Not gonna do it.
Made no sense.
Not gonna do it.
Exactly. So this is the 2-minute trailer. I'm looking forward to seeing what this is going to be. I think we basically know the very basic premise that this is young Alfred Pennyworth when he's a part of the British SAS, and he gets recruited, I guess, by Thomas Wayne as a bodyguard. I'm assuming.
Have you seen this, Augustine? Okay. I want to pick your brain about it.
Okay.
Pick them brains.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Yep. War.
The army, I'll have no more to do with it now. I want to be my own man. I started up a security firm. My apologies. Thursday night's always a bit naughty. We can meet Saturday. It's going to be a nice day.
It's rather forward of you.
No, I saw the weather forecast. I didn't get your name. Pennyworth.
Michael Caine.
The first thing I noticed. Pennyworth.
Little Bruce.
Discovered a criminal conspiracy.
I don't know, is it?
Yes.
They're missed.
They can't afford to have any loose ends.
Oh,
damn.
Oh, wait, no, kidnapped. Alfie.
Alfie.
You've got Thomas Wayne. You're a dancer, are you? I love dancing, me.
Mr. Pennyworth,
That lady's
if
crazy.
they kill me, they have to kill you. There will be no exchange. If things go pear-shaped, I'll do my best to keep you alive.
Uh-oh.
I don't think
great nation of ours
we'll talk about it.
is
Is that Gordon
with
Ramsay?
itself. We will take back this country. It's a coup d'etat.
As a rule, if you have to use French words for something, I don't like it. I don't like violence. And I don't like you, mate.
Whoa.
Pennyworth.
Whoa. All right.
DC series
Wow.
coming soon.
Position in a good household. Do right, you're a butler before you're 40.
Epics.
One could only hope.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to get epics for this, just for this one show.
Oh, this is just on Epic.
Yeah, so
Is that like a
it's like a Stars or an HBO
Right.
subscription
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So unless it's going to come to DC Universe at some point, I will probably not get a chance to watch the series.
That's discouraging.
What do
Why
you
would
think?
they not throw this on DC?
because
Okay,
Epix is
well,
putting up the money to put it on
Yeah.
there.
I guess they shopped it around and
Dollar
Epic's
bill,
bought it.
son.
Yeah.
That looks dope. I like that it very minimally has anything to do with Batman. It doesn't
Sure.
feel like a Batman thing. It feels like it's grounding Alfred for sure, because we've seen other iterations of him, and he's like this stoic kind of like war guy kind of thing. But this
Sometimes,
is
yeah,
giving
for sure.
him a lot of personality. The fact that we heard him be called Alfie was huge, because you think of Alfred the butler, who's
So old.
so old,
He's
stoic,
so,
sexless.
never really exactly.
Sexless.
He has sex in this one. Like, yeah, there's things we're fleshing him out to be a fully blown person.
Apparently we are.
He
Fully blown.
I see
Fully blown.
full blown.
You said that one of this week, my friend.
Full blown,
Full blown Pennyworth.
just like
And doing
blown
full blowing
to the windows
Pennyworth
to the
of
wall.
Full-blown goodness.
But
to the sweat fell down my. I'm not gonna say it. To all these females, Crow. Tall skate.
skate.
Master Wayne.
Master Wayne.
Tall skate.
Skate, Master Wayne. Skate.
We're sorry.
I'm not sorry at all. That was funny.
Yeah.
No, I think this looks good. I think it has a lot of potential. The cinematography looks great. I think the music selections were actually really good.
Yes.
So this has the makings of a great show.
Yeah, great trailer.
We'll see though, because I'm not getting epics for it either.
It reminds me of two things. Number one, X-Men First Class, where we saw another mentor, sexless character, Charles Xavier, Professor X, flirting, full head of hair, young, James McAvoy.
Yeah.
That's like the point of that movie.
Right.
Like he's flirting in a bar, and you're like, okay, all right, I've never thought I'd see Charles Xavier this way.
Right.
The second thing reminds me of is Agent Carter,
Right.
the TV
Right,
show,
right.
where it was
Even looks a little like Dominic Cooper.
It's a Dominic Cooper looking, but in this case, Thomas Wayne character is playing the Dominic Cooper Anthony Stark role, or Howard Stark role, and there's no son, there's no Tony Stark, but I feel like that little kid it might be a young Bruce Wayne, maybe. If not, that's fine.
The only reason I don't think it is because it's the 60s,
Sure.
one. Two, there's no mention of Martha Wayne.
Sure, but it's like, why are they in the UK? Why are they like?
Yeah.
I want to circle back to that for a second. So put a pin in that. But back to the Agent Carter, it feels like that because it's the same thing. It's like a period piece.
Right,
It's
right.
like in Agent Carter, we had a young Edwin Jarvis doing some actiony stuff, but it was really Peggy kind of leading the charge. But
Right.
young Jarvis is like oh, isn't that funny? It's like Jarvis, from the Iron Man movies, but instead it's a butler. Same thing. It's young Alfred. But to put a pin in that thing, like. I, especially coming from the creators of the show Gotham, am like hesitant to believe that the tantalizing opportunity to do anything Batman, that they're going to leave it alone. I feel like Martha Wayne exists. There's
They
a
love
little kid.
sprinkling that
There's a
shit all over
little
the
kid
place.
Bruce Wayne, and you know
in
what?
there
This
somewhere.
version of Batman was born in 1955, and he's going to be 10 in 1965, and he's it'll just be like, because it's obviously the show is not connecting to Agent Carter. At least connects to the
greater
MCU.
MCU, yeah.
This is not like, okay, so this is before the Dark Knight movies.
Right.
This is not going, okay, this is
not connected to
before
shit.
Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
the DCEU. It's none of that.
So you think they'll throw some of that in there for the straight Batman fans who just only care about Batman?
I think we're going to see the Cobblepot family. I think we're going to see the Court of Owls. I think we're going to, do you know what I'm saying? I think we're going to see
God,
as
I hope
much-
this is not Gotham all
all
over
that
again.
I
old
think
school,
we're
like,
gonna
Gotham
see,
shit.
I think we're going to see Bane's father, the Snake King or whatever, a British dude in the UK somewhere. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be a lot of the Gotham stuff because my takeaway for the thing is, it looks like a great trailer. It looks like a really entertaining show.
Right. Yeah.
I'm kind of bummed it's even Alfred. I wish it was a completely original. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see.
Because
Okay,
it's
okay.
like, I don't want it to be tied to anything else
Right,
necessarily.
right.
And at the same time, I'm still bummed that we continue to go back to the well of Batman
Yeah.
for shows and stuff.
Everything,
Because I'm like, where's the rest of these characters
Yeah,
and worlds?
true,
Right?
true,
Where's
true.
Where's the Nightwing show?
Yeah.
Where's the
Right.
I want more of that. It feels like for every Titans, we're gonna get 2 Gotham and Pennyworths.
Yeah.
For every Batwoman
Yeah.
show, we're
Yeah.
gonna get
2
2 more Batman movies. Like
A
that
Commissioner
kind.
Gordon
We're
series.
gonna get a
oh,
polit-
wait, we did.
We're gonna get a political drama about Thomas Wayne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like right. So
Wayne,
Right.
the
so-
Thomas Wayne
Wayne, the
series.
Thomas
But
Wayne
the
series.
show looks good, and I'm also a little bit bummed that it's just a straight Michael Caine impression.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, this isn't Pennyworth from the comics. This is,
Yeah.
well, I've only seen one Batman thing, and it's a Dark Knight movie, so I'm doing young Michael Caine. It's like,
Caine.
man, Alfred doesn't always sound like that. Well, it does
No.
to me, it does to us. And
That's what I grew up with.
I
that's
like
what
how
we're
your
gonna
lips
do.
kind
Yeah.
of do the Michael
That's right.
Caine thing.
Little bit.
That's what I grew up with, mate.
I failed you,
I failed you,
and
Master
I
Wayne.
failed you.
Dude, he was acting his ass off in that scene, okay?
I mean, Michael Caine was.
Come on,
sure.
Michael
Beautiful
Caine
scene.
was, yes.
Beautiful scene.
I agree with both of you guys.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's good and there's bad. I agree. Cinematography, production design, the music choices,
Yeah.
the color, the
Yeah.
style and the look. It's all there.
It all works.
It's all there. The only thing that makes me nervous is I remember when I saw all the stuff leading up to the premiere of Gotham, and I thought it looked, sounded, everything looked top notch.
Yeah.
And then we got the show, and I personally was not a big fan of that show. So to
Same.
know that it's the creators and the showrunners of Gotham makes me a little nervous. I'm
like, could be a solid pilot. What's the rest of the
Exactly.
season?
Yeah.
And also, it not being on Fox and now being on Epix, it's like, great. Do you have sort of a more free reign opportunity to do kind of whatever you want?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That could be
A
interesting.
bigger budget, maybe?
Could be a
because
positive.
because it's a limited series and it doesn't have to do 23 episodes a season.
Right.
If you have 8 to
Right.
10, and it's like, great, we have more of a self-contained story.
Make it
We're not
tight.
doing villain of the week sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we can really develop Alfred as a character, and also on top of that, develop the relationship between him and Thomas Wayne. So whenever the show concludes, by the end of it, you understand why Thomas Wayne felt so connected to Alfred and why Alfred feels so connected to Bruce.
Sure.
I think we also have to look at something like Chernobyl, which is killing it across all the boards. Have you guys seen it yet?
I've
No,
seen
not
the
yet.
first episode.
Oh,
and
guys, watch
it's
the entire
so
thing. I've seen
good.
it, and now I have to give it to Chernobyl because they do what's rare in this now, and it's only 6 episodes. It's a super tight 6 episodes, and it leaves you wanting more every single episode, which I think it's kind of breaking ground right now as far as like this limited mini-series thing kind of goes because nobody's doing that right now. I feel like studios are still asking for like what the 8 to 13 or 8 to 13, which is detrimental if you have a tight story to tell. I'm hoping that with this one they are brave. I don't want to say brave enough, but like they're given the go ahead to just tell the tightest story they can, regardless of how many episodes it is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times with these limited series or mini series and all that sort of stuff, I wonder if from their perspective as a studio or production company or whatever, they worry, well, if we only do 5, I feel like we're only going to be relevant for a month or 2, and then people are going to move on because we're so short. No, hit hard in 5 or 6 episodes, and people will talk about you every week.
Stranger Things, 8 episodes.
Yeah.
8 episodes.
People talk about Chernobyl every day. For the last 2 weeks, I've heard at least one person tweet, talk about, or reference Chernobyl.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's we talk about this a lot, but more isn't always better.
Exactly.
You know, like let's get the quality content out, and people will talk. It's just like In-N-Out, dude. How often do you see advertisement or anything like that? It's all word of mouth. People know about it, and it's you have to kind of follow that mentality in order for your show to kind of get noticed.
Yes.
It's not about 23 episodes, which I will never ever watch anymore.
I think I know what I'm gonna do after we're done here.
You're gonna go get
Chernobyl?
In-N-Out?
Down the street.
Yeah.
Oh, In-N-Out?
And then watch Chernobyl while I eat it.
Yes. Well, actually, no. It gets pretty gross.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, they show full blown like dudes'
okay.
entire bodies, skins falling off.
All right, let's watch Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with some In-N-Out.
Oh man! By the way, I don't know if you guys saw about it. We watched the trailer for Doctor Sleep.
Oh, I saw it.
I
The Shining
did.
sequel.
I saw it.
It looks so good.
It's
great.
crazy. So I
so
don't know what to think about that, but we can talk about that at another time.
Sure.
Okay.
If you want, yeah.
Okay.
Lobo is getting a spin-off series.
Maybe.
A character, potentially, yeah. A character who is just debuting in the 2nd season of Krypton. Right now, they have a writer who's writing a potential pilot. Cool. If the season or the series gets picked up for a pilot run and then potentially for an entire season, Emmett J. Scanlon, who's playing Lobo in Krypton now, will reprise the role of the character in his own show.
Great.
At the same time, Warner Brothers is still developing that Michael Bay Lobo movie.
Not interested in that as much.
Sweet Jesus. A
Not
Michael
interested in
Bay
that as
logo,
much.
logo movie. Lobo movie?
I worry.
So you prefer to have the show?
Lobo is a offensive, badass, like cool, but like hardcore character, and he's earned hardcore. And like I'm not messing around.
Right.
In a lot of ways, it would be kind of perfect for the Michael Bay filmmaking style.
Don't you continue that sentence, Hector.
But
don't
here's
you
the deal.
dare.
Here's the deal.
Okay.
I'm afraid that Michael Bay or that production will kind of like tap into the wrong aspects of Lobo as opposed to like the right aspects to make a movie, to make that character beloved, to make it, that's what I worry about. That's what, because they had in my opinion, no-brainer of a property, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and
ran it
what
to
happened?
the ground.
What happened?
The proof is in the pudding, dude.
Yeah.
They've had beloved franchises.
Yeah.
Ran them into the ground to the point where I don't care about those movie franchises at all.
Yeah.
In that thing, and it made me turn sour towards any project that falls into that production company's hands.
The closest I can tie it to is something like a Deadpool, which Deadpool is offensive, mirk with the mouth, rated R. Do you know what I'm saying? Still spinning out of a world that's mostly PG-13. The reason I think that the Deadpool movies were able to succeed wasn't just the vulgarity and like the snarkiness.
Right.
Heart.
Right.
Yes. And
exactly.
I'm like, look, you might be scoffing, but even something like Lobo, to really make a movie about Lobo and to make it land and work, you're going to need to have some of that.
Of course.
So,
absolutely.
And I don't see that happening with a production Michael Bay sort of direction.
Yeah.
I worry that it would come out and people would be like, all right, this is just empty calories, man.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, there goes the opportunity for Lobo to sort of hit the way that like Deadpool did.
Absolutely.
I think the if I'm trying to take a positive spin on this,
Sure.
any movie that Michael Bay has not made that has not been part of a major property, whether it's Transformers or producing G.I. Joe or TMNT or anything like that.
You're talking Pain and Gain. You're
Pain and
talking
Gain,
The Island.
Yeah,
Sure.
Sure. Some of those movies, or like 13 Hours, or the movie he did with John Krasinski. Sure. There are definitely really good things in all of those movies.
Right, yeah.
There's great moments with the characters. There's some fun story and action stuff. So I think if you can find a way, and I also, you're going to hate this, but I also imagine that Lobo is going to be kind of like the Joker. It's separate, its own separate story, not connected to a greater universe. I know.
Well, at least we're getting a connected Lobo with the Syfy.
Sure,
Right?
exactly.
At least Lobo's popping into Krypton and meeting some DC Universe characters and being part of that larger universe. And then,
if that's what the movie ends up being, then I think there's a little bit of opportunity to sort of Deadpool it a little bit more. But I still think you need the heart. But I think because Michael Bay doesn't necessarily have to worry about it connecting to something greater than what it is. Sure. Kind of like with Transformers and TMNT, or unlike those movies. I think this is an opportunity where I would hope, would focus on like, what's the centerpiece of this movie? What's the core of this movie?
Why
How do we make it work?
Why is this character as popular as he is?
Yeah.
Let's translate that. Let's bring that
Exactly.
to the big screen.
So I'm trying to be optimistic
I
because there
feel
are Michael
that.
Bay
I feel
movies
that.
that I really
just
have
want more
enjoyed.
DC
I
movies.
appreciate
I
that.
know, same.
So
I appreciate that.
what it is to be a comic book fan, to have that compromise of like, Hector, guess what? We're making Lobo, and I'm like, yes, Michael Bay.
Michael Bay's got it.
Hey, I'll take it.
Give it a shot, maybe.
I'll bring popcorn and a barf bag just in case.
Just in case.
But yeah, so I don't know. I like the character of
forward to
Lobo. I really liked him in the animated series.
Yes.
When Brad Garrett voiced
Garrett.
him, he was so damn good as Lobo.
What if
so
we
fun.
got kind of a Deadpool / John Wick kind of Lobo?
That's the way to go.
That's
even
really
the
the only way
the
I
John
see
Wick
it.
movies have some heart.
They have a
Yes.
lot of heart because it's
They
fucking
really do.
Keanu Reeves,
It's
dude.
Keanu Reeves.
You know everything he
Yeah.
does, he's putting 120% of himself
Yeah.
in.
You're breathtaking.
Everybody's
You're
breathtaking.
breathtaking. He is apparently already going to be in Suicide Squad, maybe.
Right.
But like Dave Bautista
Right.
as Lobo.
Oh.
Do you see what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
like that.
I thought
like
you were
a-
saying Keanu Reeves. I was like, I think
like-
Eternals actually.
like a performer who is that built, but
Yeah.
has that thing where you're like, I'm rooting for that guy.
But I like
I'm rooting
that
for
guy.
I mean,
Yeah.
what Dave
Beefcake.
Bautista has
Right.
done outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy with Blade
Yes.
Runner and other movies, I'm like,
Still compelling.
He is definitely working towards
Yes.
being an actor.
Yes.
Actor.
And
yes.
and I think like you definitely need something like that. You know, I think it's a different
I
caliber.
wouldn't
than The
even
Rock.
mind seeing a John Cena be in there as
Oh,
Lobo.
honestly?
He's
Come
gonna
on.
be in Suicide.
I could see it.
He's rumored for Suicide Squad.
I could see that.
Right.
But that kind of that you really got to go get a wrestler guy,
Yeah.
bodybuilder guy that has that like thing that like Dwayne Johnson
That
has,
charm
Arnold.
that people
Yeah.
want to watch
you know,
this person.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
You know what it is.
Right.
You know what it is.
Yeah.
Even what's his name? Danny Trejo. He's a little bit older.
Oh, he's way too old.
He's a little
I
bit
think he's
older.
about 112
He
years
is.
old.
In prison years, yes.
Yeah, he's hanging in there. Yeah, dude. He's had 4 lifetimes.
Absolutely.
He's amazing. But Danny
Absolutely.
Trejo,
maybe
no
like
joke.
a younger
Danny Trejo, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Desperado days.
That's true.
Give me another, because right now Lobo on the Syfy show Krypton, he's got like a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
Because it's all UK actors.
Sure.
It's all, so
Oh.
that's because they film it over there in the
I
UK.
want a little more Brad Garrett.
I'm like,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
even then, I'm like, even if you give me a Lobo that has like a Latino, in fact, the name Lobo, it's wolf in Spanish.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
if you do that, but he still has that like, oh,
He's like from East LA.
Hey, yeah, I'm like, that's kind of
so
dope. Cholo Lobo, that's kind of
Cholo
badass.
Lobo.
Because you can buy it with the
Cholobo.
choppers and the, because he needs to be authentically biker guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you put an actor who's not that and you put him in that,
Yeah.
it's gonna. I feel like that's a tougher, as opposed to somebody who
Faking
can
the funk, yeah.
You know, that's part of the whole challenge, which is really cool. It's to find an actor that you're like, I believe that this dude rides a space Harley.
Everything
that's
that
fun.
everything that
Is
we've
a
just
part of the
described, I'm
Space
like,
Hells Angels.
Jason Momoa, if he wasn't Aquaman, would
Dude,
be pretty
I
damn
mean,
good.
Honestly,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that's
perfect.
that's the style you got to go for.
Right,
A
right,
guy
right.
like that who Momoa as Aquaman, you're like, what? Okay.
I'm sure
I love it.
Momoa knows like 20 dudes who can play
Yeah,
this role.
for sure.
I'm
Probably.
sure there's
his,
somebody
his
there.
brother,
His
who's
brother.
gonna be in
Exactly.
Fast and Furious presents
Hobbs and Shaw.
Calvin and Hobbs. Calvin and Hobbs.
Calvin and
Calvin and
Hobbs,
Hobbs.
that's the
That'd
one.
be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure people are going to start pitching Roman Reigns. Just put Roman Reigns in there.
Yep.
Honestly, yeah, why not?
I don't know.
And
We'll
then
see.
Aquaman versus versus Lobo. That'd be dope.
Oh,
Dude, that'd be awesome.
That'd be tight.
Momoa versus Reigns.
Yeah, let's watch
sick.
that.
That'd be sick. I'm about that. Before we go, we're going to answer some of your guys' questions. You can do so by joining our Patreon in the $5 tier or above. Submit questions every single week. I picked out a few. I liked some of them. They were pretty good, so we're going to answer them. First question from Jose Roberto Sanchez, who's in the Hyper Homies tier. Hyper Homies, E3 is in the news. What video games are you looking forward to trying out? Also, what is your favorite video game of all time? The Spider-Man game last year gave me so many tingles in my jingles.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to The Fallen Order. The gameplay shown make it seem like the Force wielding will feel amazing. As always, love your content.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to playing the Avengers game.
the new Zelda game.
Of course, I'm looking forward to playing the new Zelda game. Thank you, E3. A bunch of stuff coming out of E3, but a bunch of Nintendo stuff. But even though I online was like subtly, but not really, subtweeting, but everybody knows, talking trash on the Avengers game. I still am looking forward to playing it because I'm like, I believe that the gameplay itself could be really, really fun and really, really cool. I just think that the designs are really, really weak, and I feel like they miss a lot of why the designs for like the live action Marvel movies work, or even why the designs in the comic books work for the comic book page. And I feel like I'm like something's happening. And also, again, my whole complaint was like, look, man, if this is where we're at in terms of the level of like this is what humans and hair look like in video games, don't even shoot for that. Make it more stylized. Because Spider-Man game's great, but every time he takes his mask off and it's the weird hard hair that Peter Parker has, that's just
Lego
like
hair.
the Lego like Chia Pet hair. I'm like, you guys can't do hair, so make it cartoony. He comes from an illustrated. That's the background. You know, so that's my frustration with the Avengers game. And it has nothing to do. People were like, well, it's fine that it doesn't look like the movie. I'm like, no, that's fine. It can look not like the movie.
Yeah, it can absolutely.
But it feels like a half measure where it's kind of trying to be like the movie without putting in the work.
It's Beowulf 2007.
I think that's the problem. So they didn't realize that you can't really approach the Marvel movie aesthetic that much and then have the characters look different. I think that's the main problem, is just that they look different. The actual costume designs are whatever, they're fine. They can they're passing. But you hit that uncanny valley. I'm just going to call it an uncanny valley. I don't even know what the term is.
That's what it is.
But it's just like you hit right in the middle where they're dressed like the person you just spent 10 years admiring, but their face is different. So you're just like, this isn't what I want.
And also the proportions are off.
Yeah.
Like Tony Stark, Iron Man in that game is not the proportions of a real character or even like the comic book proportion. It's this weird, you know, and I'm like, you can't do comic book proportions in real life because it's not, people are not 8 heads tall.
Yeah.
They're like 6 heads tall. And the movies understand that, and they find the different little ways to cheat it and, and to make the Iron Man costume look like a person could be in it, a person Robert Downey's height, maybe a little taller, like to work in it. So it's this weird, like Iron Man standing in the background, and I'm like, his head's so tiny, his torso's long, Cap's like torso is just like a brick, and I'm like, you're missing the point of Captain America. He's a Dorito chip. He's a triangle.
He's the perfect triangle,
So, man, I don't know. We could keep talking about it, but those are the games I'm
looking
forward to.
Favorite video game of all time?
Favorite video game of all time is probably a toss-up between Pokemon Red and Blue and Shadow of the Colossus, but the thing that keeps inching up, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Greatest game ever made. It's gorgeous, stunning. I'm still playing it.
Nice.
Greatest game ever made. Greatest game ever made.
I got to play Crash Team Racing today, actually.
Yeah, how was your E3, man?
It was great. It was my first time
killing
at E3.
it out there, dude.
It was so fun. I had a really great time. Emily took me around. She's a veteran of the convention. She's been doing amazing work the whole week she's been at E3. So we got to play some stuff, and we got to watch some demos. Watch Dogs, the new Watch Dogs, looks really, really cool. You can play as different characters that can kind of zip around all over London, which I think is really fun. One of them being a grandma, which I'm like, yes, please. That looks so fun.
Here's what I worry about. You already do this. You already do all of this. Are you about to become a gamer? You will die. You don't sleep.
You will never sleep.
You will die.
So Matt,
you got to pick, brother.
Matt suckered me last week because
you're like, I bought a Switch.
Well, he brought me a California burrito from Lucha Libre, and he was like, "Cool, man. Now you got to get a Switch." And I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker."
Is this your control?
No.
That's a cool controller.
No.
I know.
But I really like Crash Team Racing. It was
super,
super fun. Emily's going to get it for PlayStation, so we're going to play it.
Cool.
I want to check out Watch Dogs. That looked really fun as well.
I'm just saying,
Cyberpunk 2077.
Adam, be careful.
I know.
Dip your toe to jacuzzi, baby. Don't jump in.
Don't go into the deep end.
Dip it. Just dip.
In terms of favorite games, Crash Bandicoot for sure. Twisted Metal 2 is also an all-time favorite of mine. And, of course, I have to mention Fallen Order. I'm definitely looking forward to the Star Wars game. It looks amazing. I watched some of the gameplay footage. Looks really, really great. I can't wait to play that. So, yeah. I don't know if I can take on gaming as a
No, you don't have the time. You
but
don't have the time, dude.
I'm going to have to do it like while I'm reading comics and watching movies, listening to music, and
You can't.
I don't
That's
know.
not possible.
My
Here's what you
brain's
do.
going to go.
Yeah.
Here's what you do. You be a backseat gamer.
Yeah.
Emily's playing
Just
the
let
game.
Emily play the game.
And you're kind of
Oh,
watching.
I
and
will
you're like,
always be a
oh,
backseat
yeah,
gamer.
yeah,
compared
yeah,
to
good,
Emily.
good, good.
Yeah, so you're experiencing
No one can compete with her gaming
for sure.
talents.
I think the one I'm looking out for is Borderlands 3. That one looks really
yeah, that
good.
looks good, yeah.
Which other one did I see that I'm looking forward to? I think that's kind
No
of
Cyberpunk?
I'm not
Look,
really
I just want to
sold
play
on
because
it.
Keanu Reeves is in it.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, yeah,
And
I
he's
think
like-
that's
Aren't
the
they
big.
coming out with a John Wick video game?
I don't
They
know.
are. I don't
But it's like
really
cartoony
know
and
the
stylized.
Yeah, it's got
And
like
I'm
a
like,
style to it.
I'm like, there you go.
That's
what
how
I-
you do it.
That's what I
That's
want.
how you do it.
That's cool.
I think my favorite video games of all time, I think Overwatch is creeping up there, but I
Yeah.
also love the
Yeah.
Prince of Persia games.
Yeah.
What else did I love? The original Spider-Man 2
Oh,
game with the
PS2.
swing dynamics.
Yeah.
That one was
that's-
super dope. Which other ones did I love? Oh, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That game is
Who's your main?
So
Who's your
pizza
main?
chef.
Who do you main? Who do you main?
Ryu, Magneto, and Wolverine.
Nice.
Triple mains.
It
That's
would be
Ultimate
that's my
Alliance
team.
3 is
Of
also
course.
coming out. That looks really good.
Yeah,
Psychonauts. We also watched them with
yeah.
Psychonauts.
That's
right,
That looked
that's
really
right.
good
Yeah,
too,
yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff out there.
We're never gonna see you again, Adam.
No, we're
It's
not.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff out there. So yeah, definitely check out as much as you can. Next question comes from Anthony Rodriguez, who's in the Gritos tier. What's up, hyper homies? How you guys doing this week? So far, so good.
That's pretty
I
good.
love seeing my movies with the best screen and sound, and in 3D, of course. Hi.
Oh,
My question is, which one older movie or movies that you would like to see, or that you would have liked to have seen in 3D that didn't have a 3D release?
I'm gonna go a little out of left field with this one.
Okay.
Series of movies,
Uh-huh.
movies that I think are already on their own pretty magical.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, I really wish someday Warner Brothers would re-release these in theaters one at a time each year.
Oh, I know what it
For
is.
7 years straight, because you do the last two as a double feature.
Yeah.
Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
These movies are already magical and stunning.
the couch just cheered.
Yeah, dude. But can you
The couch
imagine?
woke up.
And the last two that came out in 3D, it's a garbage conversion. It's
Yeah.
so
Oh,
bad.
absolutely.
It's
Super last
rushed,
minute, yeah.
Super last
Yeah,
minute. I
yeah.
watched them and I'm like, this is embarrassingly bad.
Right.
But to redo that and do all of them, and it's
Right.
like this fall, the movie event of a generation
The magic returns.
begins again. Yeah, it's
In
like
a world.
Harry Potter Year 1, The Sorcerer's Stone. Like, bring your family for a new generation, all that bullshit. And you go and see it, and to see just picture those moments for a second. To see them in 3D, the gorgeous depth, the character moments, the wands, the magic, like it would be incredible. But then also, of course, like remaster, maybe
Right.
redo the CG on the troll and that first. You know what I'm saying? Like those kinds of little
Yeah.
Touch-ups.
little tiny touch-ups, little tiny Lucasisms, but don't go full bore. Don't replace a wand with a walkie-talkie. I'm saying,
Yeah.
you know,
All of a sudden, lightsaber
the
showed up in the
int-
Harry Potter
yeah,
movies.
yeah.
What? Voldemort. Whoa. But that would be
Wingardium
dope.
Leviosa.
Obi-Wan just like
Because
mm-mm.
I
Yeah.
think they're super
What's Alec
special.
Guinness doing in
I
this
think they're
movie?
super special, but I would pick those series of movies in a way that I think would like enhance them in a big way.
That's great. That's definitely a good one. I would also like to see those. Man, I have so many.
Yeah.
If I were to quickly pick just a couple.
Three.
Back to the Future trilogy.
Beautiful.
Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Beautiful.
And The Fifth Element.
Beautiful.
Oh, great picks.
For me, it would probably be Jurassic Park.
Which one?
That's
they
already
did
that's
it.
already converted.
Homie,
That's
I
right. We
own it.
worked on it. Shit.
I own it. Come over and watch it.
I completely forgot. I was like, wait, that's
I
already
got it
in
in
3D.
the room next door.
Okay, well you'd pick Lord
It's
of the Rings,
really
so that's the
good.
one.
Jurassic Park is really good.
But talk about why Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Well, because it's such a spectacular movie already, so it's
Massive.
beautifully
Massive.
shot.
It's
Masterpiece.
massive.
Yes.
It's the scale of the environment. It was unlike something. It put New Zealand on the map. Basically,
Yeah.
nobody had really realized
All
how
those
beautiful
locations
New
in
Zealand is.
3D.
Right, it would be absolutely stunning. We have a lot of great effects that would work wonderfully in 3D. I feel
And
like that movie would.
how-
That's a documentary.
How great would it be if they did both the theatrical and the extended? But the extended, they're like, we're going to hold the extended
Yeah.
for home release, honestly,
right,
or
right.
like digital down or whatever. But like, again, you re-release them and be like, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring in 3D, remastered. Come see it.
I might have to dig up a 3D TV and just for that, just for that movie.
Honestly,
just for that
you're
one.
joking, but that's how good those are.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
joking.
That's
I
how
would
good those-
legit
yeah.
buy a 3D
Yeah.
TV for
No,
it,
but
just for
seriously,
that.
yeah, because they have so much depth, and the battle sequences with all the characters, and really get a sense of the scale.
The
like
rain.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It would be
I agree.
so good.
I agree. Yeah, he would be
Dope.
fantastic.
Next question comes from Matthew Clark, who's in the Bonjoro tier.
Mm-hmm.
The Phantasm is coming to comics after so long. What are your thoughts on Batman Mask of the Phantasm and how the character will make waves in the comics?
I don't remember watching that movie. I know I've seen it, but
Yeah.
I don't really remember watching it.
Great film. I need to rewatch it. But
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
It's been
holding
a while
off.
since
I've been
I've
holding
seen it,
off
but
because I
yeah.
got the whole Batman animated series on Blu-ray,
Same,
and I'm
yeah.
like, I want to
Wanna
do.
slot in.
I want to do it from the beginning and do
Yeah.
it in order, kind of a thing. So like, I'm sure that it's fantastic. I'm excited that the Phantasm is kind of finally making her way
Yeah.
or its way to their way to the comic world. I don't know what kind of effect it would be, but I hope it's still Andrea Beaumont. I hope that it's still a woman.
Well, the
I hope
teaser
that it's
says
still-
she is
Yeah,
waiting
it says
for you.
she is
Great,
waiting for you.
great.
So I'm
So-
sure it's her. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
hope that it's not a thing where it's like a one and done story. I hope like she could stick around.
Well, considering the Phantasm is going to be integrated into the Tom King Batman
Yes.
Catwoman run,
Yeah.
and sort of what their role has been up to this point in the comics, very much sort of like the relationship of those two characters and what they mean to each other, to slide in the Phantasm, Andrea Beaumont, and to sort of like see what that does to the dynamics of that relationship and how
Great.
it could break that relationship. That could be very interesting.
A love triangle.
Yeah, it could be very good.
And knowing Tom King, it wouldn't just be a cliched love
yes,
triangle.
it would have some depth.
a triangle
It would be a quadrilateral.
or
'Cause
a square.
Here comes Dick Grace.
A square.
Well, some love triangle quadrilaterals are squares, but not every square.
Some are
is a love-
rhombuses.
Is a love rhombus.
Yeah,
That's right.
love rhombus. Yes.
Next question comes from Brian A. Gorby, who's in the Gritos tier.
Wow! That was more of a Mario.
Yeah.
It was.
Woohoo!
So I was watching Deadpool 2 last night, and my question is, would you say that it's impossible for Deadpool to be added to the MCU because of the different effects of time travel between Deadpool 2 and Avengers Endgame?
Let me handle this. None of that shit matters.
No, it
If
doesn't.
you're upset or if you're seeing this inconsistency with how they treat time travel, but not the inconsistency of anything else Deadpool related to the own X-Men movie franchise, why did one thing break for you but not the other? Like, he mentions that there's different Professor X's. There's a different Colossus entirely. The school that he shows up in, is he in the present day? Yeah, it's 2016 and then 2018 2018 for the two Deadpool movies. And yet it's not the Logan future. It's not the, we don't, it's all convoluted
Universes
and
are
weird.
sort of just
Right.
questionable. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. There was a different Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and then they speak to that. So the only thing from the X-Men world, the Fox movies, that could even survive is Deadpool himself because of his very nature.
Yeah.
Even though people have said, well, if you bring him over, does that mean you bring along the supporting characters, meaning like Blind Al? I'm like, yeah, probably, because she's not connected to anything.
Right.
But like, what about Colossus in the X Mansion? I'm like, you couldn't, because the X Mansion hasn't been established in the
Right.
MCU.
Right.
But
And that X-Mansion has been very much a part of the former universe.
But even then, like, Deadpool could still work and operate in, even if he makes mention of mutants, non-mutants, whatever the hell, like that, he's the one thing that could work. And I believe, honestly, that the MCU and how good they are at actually building continuity that kind of matters, they would, like a great Deadpool comic, give it continuity that actually matters while
Right.
Deadpool is still able to mess with it and kind of do his own thing. But like,
Right.
there's still a thing of like A and then B and then C happened,
Right.
as opposed to you watch Deadpool 2 and you're like, wait, so at the end he time traveled and went and shot himself, because you're like, ha ha ha, it's kind of funny, it kind of breaks the whole thing. Like, what happens in Deadpool 2 that still happened? Well, we don't really know until Deadpool 3 comes out. Do you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
exactly,
Like, it's all
exactly.
kind of wibbly wobbly Doctor Who bullshit. But like, the MCU would be the one to go, this is what happens. This is who Wade Wilson is. This is what the Deadpool continuity is.
Yeah.
And now he's going to point to the camera and wink, and other people are going to go, who are you talking to? Like,
Right.
that's how that's going to work. And he's
Right.
going to be the one insane element.
Right.
So, no, the time travel has nothing to do with, because
No,
they bring
not
him
at all.
over, and Deadpool 1 and 2 will have happened but not
Yeah,
happened.
Doom
Right,
Patrol does the
right.
same thing.
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk did in Doom Patrol, and it was
Yeah.
fine. Addressing
Yes.
the audience and that sort of stuff, it's fine.
And his Mr. Nobody character
Yeah,
can do that.
Exactly.
And it's
exactly.
great.
It's
Yeah.
fine. So I agree.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have anything else to add to that.
I don't have anything else
Don't
to add.
worry about
for
it.
Perfect.
Hector said he'll handle it.
That's
He
right.
handled it.
I believe this is the final question coming from Kevin Saldana, who's in the Hyper Homies tier.
This is a
Hey,
great-
homies,
great
love the
question.
content. My go-to for all things superheroes. My question is, I have seen and heard reviews on movies like Justice League, Captain Marvel, Solo, A Star Wars Story, and Thor: The Dark World, where they have panned these movies or described them as not being good or whatever. I think maybe you guys weren't big fans of a couple of them in your reviews, not 100% sure. However, I've thoroughly enjoyed all those films and all of the Marvel films, DC films, and all the Star Wars films. But, to be honest, I don't think I've read more than 3 comics in my entire 30 years of existence. Do I enjoy these movies because I am lacking the knowledge of the source material? Are people too hard on these films? I try to lose myself in the movies and don't try to analyze and just, quote, enjoy the ride. I'm sure that is hard for you guys that worked in the industry. Was just wondering your guys' thoughts. Thanks. Great question.
This is a really
question.
good question, and
Yeah.
it makes me feel bad for Pooch
Yes.
because
We've ruined it for him.
we've ruined it for him. So, if you don't know, Alex Puccinelli, he's a good buddy of ours and has been hanging out with us for a while. And we would ask him his opinion on movies,
Yeah.
and he'd be like, "I just love it all, guys. I love it all." And not saying that that's a bad thing to
No.
do. Like
Right.
it's very appropriate if that's how you enjoy your movies. I'm not one to say that you can't enjoy your movies
Right.
that way because that would be terrible of me. But at the same time, I feel like in our conversations, in our very nature, the way we approach things, it's in a different mindset that a lot of people maybe don't or even care to do, you know?
sure.
So I don't want to say that this guy is lacking in comic book knowledge because comic books are really, really tough to get into. And if that's not your that's not your bag, then that's not your bag.
Yeah.
You know?
If you've read 3 comics up to this point, you're 30 years old. Like,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to read comics.
Right, probably not.
You know, I don't want to force you and be like, or shame you. Like, that's totally cool if those aren't your thing.
Right.
I would hope that you seek out comics not because you're like, well, I think every movie's good. I don't understand. Maybe I need to read Superman comics because maybe then I'll think that Superman movies are bad. Like, I don't want that to be the reason to get into comics is to do the research to like make movies bad for you.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing either.
Right.
I also don't want to deny people of the amazing experience of reading comic book. Like, I'm
Absolutely.
not going to tell you, dude, don't even try. I'm not going to say this
right.
train is gone. I'm going to say, if you're go do it. If you're curious, hit us up. If you're curious, do a little bit of research and be like, well, which movie do I love? Which
Yeah,
character do I love?
exactly.
Because you might find a comic on its own that
speaks to you.
that speaks to you. But keep going on to your point.
No, well,
Yeah.
that was basically my point. It's just that I don't feel like the Marvel franchise made it really easy for people to access stuff that had been previously super difficult. I mean, you didn't jump into Marvel Comics at all, because it's such a huge
Not
thing.
until I met YouTube clowns.
Exactly, right? But you were all up in the DC because that's
Yeah.
what you started with.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
now I feel like if you wanted to, you could we could like throw a comic at you and be like, look, this is kind of falls in between this or like
Yeah.
between these kind of storylines. So I feel like more than ever, it's a little bit more accessible to jump into comics, but at the same time, you're not really missing much by not knowing the source material, besides the fact that we catch on to things a little bit faster than other people do.
A movie should be able to work or not work
Exactly.
without that
On its own.
research.
Context.
And,
Yeah.
and the thing I want to say, too, is like, Kevin, Mr. Saldana, if you're thinking, well, do I not have the same knowledge of the source material? Knowledge could be tied into, like, intelligence and knowing things. It has nothing to do with that. What you have is a different life experience than the 3 of us.
Exactly.
Everybody brings your life experience to a movie. So I don't buy it when people go, movies aren't political. I'm like, that's not true, because everybody's life by its very existence is a political act. It just had varying degrees of stuff, and everybody's bringing their own life experience to whatever movie you're seeing, whether it's high art, low art, it doesn't matter. I get very upset and passionate about stuff that other people don't give a crap about, and then they get very upset and passionate about movies and art that I am not interested in. It doesn't mean they're smarter, I'm dumber, they're dumber. It means different life experience.
Their preferences.
So that's all that means. And if you and I'll also say too, like, well, Adam, kind of take it over. I want to try to formulate it, because this is a great question.
It
and
is a
really
really
good
it's a
question.
really, really good
discussion
question
to have,
It's-
and to me, it's not about, is everybody too hard on stuff? I love that you're reading or watching reviews of
Paying
movies,
attention.
Yeah.
paying attention to what they're saying.
Right.
To go back to our friend Alex Puccinelli, I feel like he didn't not love stuff He loved stuff.
Right.
But I also think that when you tend to study a thing that you care about, like movies or comic books or whatever, and the more you study it, the more you sort of know, you'll see the Matrix Code. And it's not just because we worked in the industry. Like, I've been studying cartoons since I was a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
By obsessing over it and watching it and learning about the history. And I happen to believe that that when you do get into that stuff, on some level it does ruin it for you. But on the other level, something comes along and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Exactly.
And this is why. And it's reaching heights that I never, oh my God, this is mind-blowing art, and it is affecting me and it's touching me in a way. And I'm not saying, Kevin, that you're not feeling that with like Thor the Dark World or Solo, a Star Wars story, or Captain Marvel. You probably are. I mean, I felt little moments of that in Captain Marvel, like little individual kind of stuff like that. But I also think that the less that everything is just kind of good, the more it brings the opportunity for those
ups and downs,
which is what it should be. It's sometimes it's a crushing down where I'm like, oh, it's a bummer that Batman's killing people.
Right.
Why? Because I have my life experience, which does include, I read comics where he specifically is like, no guns, and here's, which I love, and I'm bringing that with me to the movie, and now I'm kind of, but then other things happen, Batman versus Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, what a high, because look at the budget they had and what they were able to pull off, and the animation, and the voice acting, and the writing, and the adaptation of the comic, and so that's what I'll say about it.
I completely agree, yeah, because I think reading the comics or not reading the comics, I think it really also depends on how much do you want the experience to be enhanced for you.
Right.
Like me having read so many DC comics as a kid, going into those movies, you bring sort of all that experience and baggage, or maybe not baggage, but all that knowledge and all the insight that you have about those characters and their worlds. So I feel like it very easily helps you get over the fact that you're watching a Superman movie, and it kind of helps you just focus on the story and the characters. What are they doing with the characters? Like you're saying, elevating the material. When you don't know the comics, it's kind of a 100% learning experience. Like for me, for Black Panther, not having read any of the comics, I'm like, great. Now I'm just fully invested in the movie.
Right.
I'm not worried. I'm not sort of putting anything aside. I'm kind of all in 100%.
Right.
And that can be good or bad, because sometimes you get so invested into something and you go back and you'll read the source material and you're like, man, the source material really does not hold up as well as the movie, or vice versa, where it's completely flipped.
Totally.
So I think that's the most interesting part for me personally, is like you're saying, obsessing over something. And that has it ruined a little bit? A little bit, yes, because now we sort of, I obsess over how films are made, the techniques, and all that sort of stuff. I love breaking all that stuff down.
Not only even that, we show up every week to talk about this stuff for an hour and a half.
If anything, like definitely this process of what we've done every week almost for 5 years.
Yeah.
After a while, I'm kind of like, man, I wish I didn't know how these movies were being. I wish or maybe not how they were being made, but I wish I didn't have to pay attention to every element of the casting, the filming,
production issues,
the production shit. Yeah.
Like, oh,
sometimes I just want to come on here and be like, oh, I'm completely oblivious to everything that's happened with Dark Phoenix. Did I like the movie? Yes or no? Was it affected by the things that I already did know?
Sure. Could you have helped that?
With great power comes great responsibility.
A coworker just in the past couple of days was saying when they were a little kid, they thought that every movie was the same quality because movies were movies.
Yeah.
We all think that when we were a little kid.
Exactly.
He thought that Batman '89 was on the same level as He-Man and the Masters of the
Universe.
Yeah.
Right.
And as you get older, you go, wait a minute.
You're going.
Yes. Right. And that's normal. And that kind of keeps happening because we change as we get older.
Yeah.
The thing I want to talk about is this great sentence that Kevin asks. He says, I try to lose myself in the movie and don't try to analyze and just enjoy the ride. I'm sure that's hard for you guys that worked in the industry. Put the industry stuff aside, because I want to touch on that. Kevin is saying, are people being too hard on the movies that I like? I love that you're, again, reading or watching reviews. The whole point is I don't think that movie reviewers, critics, what have you, go into movies and they go, okay, I'm going to sit down and analyze this.
I
don't think that's happening. I think what they're doing is they're going to sit down and I think that and this is what I do, and sometimes I'm a critic and sometimes I'm not, but not really. They sit down and they go, okay, I'm going to let this movie wash over me, affect me. And at some point in the movie, it's either going to be like a, yes, this is affecting me.
Yes.
Wow, am I loving this? Or it's going to go, no, this is affecting me in a negative way. Then their job in real time while watching the movie, so that when it's over and you walk away, they go and write a review, is to determine why it worked on an emotional level, yes or no.
Right.
And is that analyzation meaning that they're not trying to enjoy the movie and lose themselves in the movie? No, I think that they work together. I think you said, and you're just trying to enjoy the ride. I feel like you're still analyzing, but you might not even be aware of what analyzation's
Right,
happening.
By enjoying the ride,
Exactly.
you are and analyzing
Yes.
and seeing how the movie's making you feel based on the first viewing experience.
And a good movie critic will be able to describe what they felt and why
Break it down.
and what the sort of elements of the movie sort of work and where they or why they don't work, depending on the rest of film history and that sort of like comparing and contrasting to how films are made.
You're right, because they don't just go and watch the movie. It also needs to fall in a place compared to the rest of film history.
Context.
It's just it's all about context. Like, where is this piece falling in? And that goes into like some deep like. They're getting paid for this kind of thing. Like, if you go to the screenings that we go to, dudes carry their notepads. Like, they're taking notes.
I don't know how they take
movie.
notes while the movie's playing.
I don't
It's
get
crazy.
it either. I'm just like, I would never be able to pay attention to a movie like that. But
I've done it. It's hard in the dark.
Yeah, it's really difficult, right?
But
and
it's just the sort of quick notes because things are hitting you emotionally.
Exactly.
And I would sort of pose the challenge to Kevin. Like, you say that you've enjoyed each one of those movies. Whether or not you've sat down and tried to figure out, like, why did I enjoy these movies? You do that. And part of film criticism and analysis is also explaining why do you enjoy the movie and why does it work? And that's a positive thing.
That's a positive
So
thing.
I would say don't dismiss if there's a review of a movie that you disagree with. If you're like, I love this thing. Why is it getting percentage on Rotten Tomatoes? Or why does this person say that it's bad? Read the thing, and if they're good, they'll be able to tell you why it didn't work for them. And if it's something you agree with, read it, and then you'll be able to pinpoint, that's why it worked for me too.
What it was,
It's all hand in hand. Don't dismiss stuff if you happen to disagree with it. I've loved reading movie reviews on movies that I love. And the movie review comes out and they're like, "This was terrible, and here's why." And I'm like, "Okay, I want to know why." And if it doesn't break your brain, and you can put it down and go, "I respectfully disagree," and this is why, then I feel like there's a little piece of loving movies that you're not kind of into that you could be, and it just strengthens. It strengthens the love of the things that you love. Don't be afraid to do that.
I think that's been the biggest thing for me since we've started doing all this stuff. Is I kind of was the same way. I would go to a movie and I would say, I just like you were saying, 30, 45 minutes into the movie, I'm either going, I'm in, and this movie has won me over, or this movie has lost me, and I'm completely checked out. But it took, once we started doing this, every time we would go to the movie, I'd watch it, determine whether or not I'm in, and then as the movie's going, okay, what's not working for me? What are the characters doing? What's the story doing? How are all the pieces fitting together?
Right.
Is the plot making sense? And then as the movie's, as you're watching it, you're determining in your mind all the things that are or are not working, and you're mentally like making a checklist. And at the end of the movie, I love staying during the credits because that's when I process everything.
Exactly.
I'm watching all the credits. I'm watching
it's
this. I'm going,
super fresh.
Okay, what didn't work for me? Okay, cool. The characters did plot elements, blah, blah. I mean, for a movie like Logan, for example, the second the credits hit, I was crying.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew, and I mean, it was already 20 minutes into the movie. I was like, oh, this movie already has me.
For sure.
But at the end, when you go through the entire experience with Logan and you get to the ending scene, and it just moves you. And you think like, man, considering the last movie that he was in was okay, and the movie before that, it was not that great.
Yes.
And then the first one that he did as a solo was a garbage movie.
And that's all context. That's not us pretending movies are in a vacuum.
It's like, one step higher, and then you're breaking through the ceiling. You're going, oh shit, this movie did something I did not expect at all.
Absolutely.
And that's the experience that I love having.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
this is a great question.
To answer,
really good
I hope we
question.
answered the question. The answer, you wanted to hear our thoughts. It's all of those things. It's not just because we worked in the industry. But again, sometimes I saw
a little bit of it is.
I saw Harry Potter in 3D, and I'm like, here's why this 3D is bad. I worked in that. Sure, I brought that with me. But it's about our life experience. We have different life experiences throughout our lives. Ideally, you're not the same when you were 5 mentally that you are today. You're 30.
I mean, especially for like someone for me who like loves Superman. I've been with that character since I was 3 years old. So when I go into Man of Steel or Batman vs Superman or whatever movie has come out, I'm bringing almost 30 years of like history, knowledge, feeling, and all that stuff. I'm bringing to the movie. And I'm going, oh man, I hope I hope it sort of emulates this feeling that I had when I was a kid of what Superman meant to me and represented to me.
Right.
And if it doesn't do that, then for me personally, I go and I figure out, okay, what did not work? Was it a style choice? Was it a script choice? Was it a character choice? Like, what were those moments?
He tried to lose himself in the movie, and you said in your question that you don't try to analyze and you just enjoy the ride. Well, Adam's doing that, but then by our very existences and natures, you're sitting there and you're analyzing whether or not you know it, what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
It's all
Does
emotional.
it feel like the character that you grew up with? You know, so yeah, and I would say if there are characters from DC, Marvel, or Star Wars that you really enjoy,
great, man. Great.
And you're interested in checking out some of their comics, do it for sure. Do it. Absolutely.
Because you'll probably enjoy them.
Yeah, I think so
likely,
too.
yeah.
And on top of that, the cool thing that comics can do that movies sometimes can't do is the world building. You know, whether it's supporting characters or other superheroes within that universe.
Right.
I think that's such the advantage of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's done so much of that groundwork for people who maybe are not familiar with the comics. But then you open a book and you're like, oh, Silver Surfer, Richard Rider, like all these other characters that I open the book and I'm like, I have no clue who this is, but I read through an annual and I'm like, oh, I got little pieces of all these stories and individuals. So it's cool to like learn something new about characters you don't know.
Millions of people around the world have never read the Thor comic where Captain America picked up Mjolnir.
Yeah.
No, like millions did not read that comic, and then they went to go see Endgame. Why did that moment still hit?
Yes.
Because that's a thing that has been built up in the movies. Before that, it was even built up very slightly in Endgame itself. Right. Thor, So this thing I'm answering right now, this is me analyzing the movie to why that moment why did you scream?
Right.
Why did you yell and go, oh my God, Steve's got the hammer?
And also, they could have gone with, which would have been a terrible choice, but they could have gone with the fact that, what's her name, Black Widow in a comic also picks up the hammer in an Elseworlds type of story, but they consciously made the choice because they have been building this up, like
same thing like when he says Avengers Assemble and I lost it.
We all
built
screamed.
in.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's built up in the movie. So that's the thing. Like, it's a conscious decision. Obviously, they weren't going to have Black Widow pick up the hammer.
Right.
But at the same time, they could have thrown it in there for us comic fans. But where's the payoff?
Right.
There's nothing there. So it all builds into each other. It's all kind of a complex.
But this is an amazing question.
Yeah.
I love these types of questions because again, it's an opportunity for us to also like analyze let's talk about. I don't feel like we get to talk about it. I feel like a lot of people are just kind of like, you hate this or you love this, and I'm like, no. There's a lot more involved, and a lot more depth.
Movies can also just be okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
totally
Godzilla
fine.
King of the Monsters was fine.
Yeah, same.
I thought Pokemon Detective Pikachu was fine.
Same.
Some people love those movies.
Yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
great.
Great.
Because I love John Carter, and most people think that movie's
shit.
fine
Are you
or
kidding
bad.
me?
Yeah.
If you watch our John Wick documentary, we prove why that is the best movie of all time.
Yeah, same
But
though.
just
Yeah.
Kevin and everybody else watching, in the immortal words of Conan O'Brien on his last episode of The Tonight Show, before he was kicked out for Jay Leno to come back,
Right.
he said to the young people, don't be cynical.
Yeah.
And I will say to Kevin, stay open-minded.
Yep.
Stay open-minded about the stuff you love, about the stuff you don't care about. Like, you mentioned all the movies that you love, and you're like, I like all these. Well, there's tons of movies you didn't list. Every other movie in existence, in fact. Do you hate those? Are you a big fan of rom-coms? Do you like period dramas? Why not? Would you analyze that? Because I'll be like, I'll straight up tell you why I don't like those genres usually.
Right.
Yeah.
So just stay open-minded. Keep watching and talking about movies. And
If you're on Twitter, hit us up.
And keep coming to the table with this kind of attitude. And don't dismiss the stuff that you don't agree with and go, they're being too hard on it. Like, no, read it, man.
Yeah.
Read
Yeah,
it and
for sure.
agree to disagree. And that's okay.
Yeah. And if you want comic book recommendations, hit us up on social media. Like
That is right.
recommending comics to people is so fun.
But you don't have to do it. Do whatever you want. You're 30. Do whatever you want.
And on that note, we're going to end this week's show. Thank you so much for all the questions, for this amazing question. More questions like this. I love when we get a question like this where we can really analyze and talk about ourselves as like a group, but also individually and like how we look at things. Because again, I think a lot of people just sort of look at people's reviews on movies very black and white. They don't understand the emotional
What's the score?
context.
What's the score?
Yeah.
What's the Rotten Tomatoes? I'm not gonna go
It's
see
like,
it.
who cares,
Yeah,
man? It's
exactly.
like, don't worry about that. Worry about what people are saying and how they're expressing themselves. That to me is the most important thing.
I wish we could throw Kevin a shirt or something.
know.
If we had any merch.
Hey, digital shirt.
Be on the lookout. 'cause they're coming.
That's why I kind of said it. That's why I kind of said
Thank
it.
you for that. In the meantime, make sure you guys subscribe right here, youtube.com/hyperrpg for all the amazing content that we're doing. Also, check us out on Twitch, doing live content every single week. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.